Hi, everyone. So, have you ever started a statement in a meeting with, I'm sorry, but, or I'm not sure if this is important, but? If so, you are not alone. Trust me, this session is absolutely for you. My name is Natasha Van Wright. I am a senior healthcare executive, a certified executive, leadership, and life coach. And I provide strategies and tools to help women and companies that employ them elevate leadership and drive sustainable outcomes. So, in high stake environments like healthcare, speaking up isn't just about confidence. It's also about the outcomes that happens on the professional end and also the personal end. So, on the professional end, there are patients at the end of the day, whether it's providing care or developing new programs or developing new drugs. On the professional end, it's about being able to get the career progression that you'd like and to be able to have well being associated with being seen and heard when you are delivering content. So it really doesn't matter if you are a clinician, a healthcare project manager, a pharmacy executive, your voice matters and you don't need to shrink it in order to be heard. In reality, many women, especially women of color, feel that pressure to be able to soften their voices to avoid being seen as too aggressive or confrontational. So, today, I am going to give you 5 practical strategies to be able to confidently assert yourself in meetings without apologizing, without downplaying your ideas, and without compromising your authenticity. I'm going to create another video that dives a bit into the well being component that's associated with making sure that you are seen and heard when you're speaking. I'm going to give you the actual words and phrases that you can use to be able to navigate this. So, let's get started. You can hit pause, go get your tea, your water, your journal, whatever it is that you need to take notes, and let's get a bit uncomfortable so that we can elevate our leadership. So, the first thing is you need to ditch the apology and own your statement. Some folks over apologize just so that they can appear to be more agreeable. Women in particular may feel the extra pressure to be seen as likable so that they are not dismissed. Many women and women of color are socialized to be able to soften their presence, but unnecessary apologies really does downgrade your impact. Apologies are unnecessary. They wreak havoc on your credibility. And credibility is everything when it comes to healthcare and leadership, as well as your brand. So instead of saying sorry, but we should consider, say we need to consider this approach because here are some examples. So let's think of a nurse leader speaking with physicians. And this nurse says, sorry, but I think we need to consider. That shrinks you. It doesn't lead you out as an expert to these individuals. Own your space. So instead, you would say, we need to consider this approach because it aligns with patient safety protocols. You very clearly identified this is what we need to consider. Why? Here's another example. A healthcare IT person is presenting a system update. I just wanted to quickly share an update. How many times do you hear folks saying, I just want to quickly share an update? Instead, you should say, to prevent security breaches, we must implement a system update immediately. That gets people's attention. That shows your authority, and then you can go into the topic. I'm going to do one more. So let's think about, let's say, a pharmacy executive. They're hesitating before they speak, and as soon as they open their mouths, sorry, I just want to add something. So instead, you should say, this regulation impacts supply chain efficiency. We need a compliance plan. That shows you in a much more authoritative light. So swap out I think with I recommend based on whatever the fact is. Instead of saying I just want to add, say it's important to highlight that and whatever you would like to say. If someone dismisses your point, you want to make sure that you are restating it with confidence without backing down. You can say something to the effect of, let's revisit my point on whatever the topic is, because it directly affects whatever that issue affects. If you catch yourself about to say sorry and it takes a while to get over, just pause and reframe. Remember that your voice is valid. What you have to add is valid. There's no apology needed for that. Number two, speak with authority and not ask for permission. So, folks might get on me on this one saying, I don't ask permission, I just say what I need to say. When I give the examples, you'll be able to understand more clearly what I mean. So it's a common habit to seek permission before you say something, before you claim the authority. And sometimes people are socialized to seek permission before stating your expertise. And it's because there is this pressure to tone down your assertiveness so that you don't fall into a negative stereotype. Earlier in my career, that negative stereotype was being angry or being confrontational. It was really me just pointing out a point, and I didn't want to point it out because I didn't want to feel that way. So here are some clear examples. A hospital administrator might say, I might be wrong, but should we look at the discharge process? Okay, well, you're an expert. You already know that this discharge process needs to be looked at. How about you say that? So, our patient discharge process has gaps. Let's operationalize a workflow efficiency. So, you need to optimize, you need to operationalize something differently. Just say that. Second example, a healthcare technology director might say, I'm not sure if this will work, but so, especially in brainstorming sessions, I hear people all the time saying, I'm not sure if this might work, but it devalues your thought, it shrinks down your thought. Instead, you can say, this solution aligns with cybersecurity best practices and HIPAA compliance, and then give your solution, right? It's anchored in your expertise. So, ladies, let's eliminate I might be wrong from our vocabularies. Instead, based on my experience or research shows that there are plenty of opportunities for you to be able to call out an error or if you get new insights. But in this case, you're speaking up in the meetings and you're being able to provide your expertise. So frame expertise as a fact, not an opinion. From my experience leading this project, or you can say from my experiences being a compliance professional for the last 15 years. Use evidence based language. Instead of saying, I feel like, say, market trends indicate or research shows. If you are challenged, you are going to be able to then say, I'd be happy to share data backing up the recommendation. Now, you need to make sure that you're grabbing the data ahead of time, but you're able to lean back to the data and be very factual instead of emotional. Use that assertive language. Swap out I think with I know. Instead of does that make sense, you can swap that out to be let me know if you'd like me to clarify. Small tweaks, huge impact. Number three, claim your space in the conversation. Take up all that space and the chair that you are sitting in. Getting interrupted is really frustrating, but here's the key: you're not going to let it get you frazzled and you're not going to back down. Instead, what you're going to do is reclaim your space in a way that is calm but firm. So, lots of folks are interrupted, and we find that women are interrupted more frequently in meetings. It is off putting, right? It can completely get you off your game. You knew what you were going to say. Now you've been interrupted and now you're off track. What you always want to be able to get to is I'd like to finish my thought. So here are some examples. A female physician is presenting a case and someone just interrupts. That physician can say, I'd like to finish my thought before we move on. Another example, a healthcare project manager is cut off during strategic planning meeting. So that individual can say, I want to ensure that my point is heard before we finalize decisions. Or something like, this security concern needs full discussion before we move on to the implementation phase. Do you see how you're still asserting what you need to say while being very firm and very calm? If you're interrupted, you can also say, I'll finish my point and then I'd love to hear your perspective. So I'm going to tell you what it was like for me many moons ago before I knew this strategy. A former colleague interrupted me mid sentence in a high profile meeting. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. So I just dealt with the interruption. And then I spent portions of that meeting trying to think, how am I going to insert myself back into the conversation to put my point across? As I developed the tools to be able to lead effectively, what I ended up doing is saying, I'd like to finish my point, Tom. Let's call him Tom. And then I'd love to hear your thoughts, Tom. And then I would proceed on with what my thoughts were. I found that this has been very effective. Folks will stop and pause and they'll nod, they'll let me continue. And then when I'm done, I'll say, let me know if you'd like me to clarify anything, Tom. So clearly, confident, direct call outs, it commands respect. It also taught Tom that he should listen thoroughly to conversations before interjecting. This helped not just for me, but for other folks, women in particular, who were interrupted by Tom. Number 4, nonverbal communication. It needs to be confident too. You can say all of these words, but if you're doing it in a way that you're a shrinking violet, it's still not going to come across the way that you want it to. So your voice is only a part of the equation. Your body language speaks volumes. So try this. Sit up straight, maintain eye contact, and hold your ground. Sometimes we put up submissive body language like avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, shrinking in the chair, and sometimes even using physical barriers like laptops when you don't need them in a meeting, having them up so you're presenting a physical barrier to protect yourself. Sometimes you might subconsciously adjust your tone to avoid from sounding too aggressive. Here's what you're going to do instead. You are going to lean in and nod and maintain direct eye contact. If direct eye contact is a problem for you, you can look in the center of someone's head, like in between their eyes. You can look at the tip of the nose. It still gives the same impact without directly looking at the individual. You can also use your hand gestures to emphasize your key points. So you don't want your arms flailing all over the place because that's distracting to what you like to get across. But if you're using pointed gestures to get your point across, then that's helpful. You can also pause strategically in order to make sure that you are commanding attention. It allows people to slow down and to hear what you're saying. And then finally, you need to slow down. Oftentimes, you're just talking way too fast. It does not project authority. In addition, when you're speaking so quickly, you start to put in word fillers like so and just take some time and listen and see how much you actually do that. It's a signal for you to slow down. Finally, you are going to respond to pushback with grace. Not everyone is going to be receptive, but you're not going to back down. You're going to reframe resistance in a way that allows you to showcase your expertise. So it's like making lemonade out of lemons. It's hard to be able to speak sometimes and have so much scrutiny on you as a woman of color. You can literally feel the scrutiny sometimes. It's okay for you to continue to be assertive because you are an expert in your field and you know what you are talking about. Here's an example. A hospital leader is proposing a new scheduling platform, and a colleague jumps in and says, "That's unrealistic." So, a statement that you can use is, "I understand your concern, but this scheduling system has reduced burnout in other hospitals." Even better, if you can say how that system has improved retention or employee satisfaction, the money that has been saved on not needing to recruit new staff and to train and onboard new staff. So now, look, removed the personal nature of it, did not address the accusatory tone, went directly to the facts, remained calm. The other is a healthcare analytics executive might be presenting data insights and someone dismisses it as being theoretical. I've seen this often. "That's not my patient panel," or however it may go. So that leader can then say, "This data driven approach improves patient outcomes. We can talk through the insights together." It gives you an opportunity to showcase your expertise. It also says, "No, this data driven approach does work. I'm happy to talk you through it." It also allows you the opportunity to build a relationship with that other leader. So stay factual, leave the emotion out. This takes practice. Research or evidence shows that whatever improves whatever. It takes you out. Use "and" instead of "but." "I see your point and I'd like to add to it." Redirect negative framing. "That's an interesting perspective. Let's explore this further." So now that you have the 5 practical strategies that you can use, you have some words and phrases that you can use. My goal as a coach is for you to lead with impact and thrive with purpose in your professional life and your personal life, because both of those are the whole version of you. There's a well being component of speaking up, bottling up feelings, not feeling heard in meetings is frustrating, exhausting, disempowering. At some point, it starts to chip away at your confidence. And I'll talk about that in another video. But I do want to make sure that you get that information. So continue to follow me so that you can get it. So to recap, ditch the apology, own your authority, people, reclaim your space, take up all of the space that you are designated. In healthcare and beyond, your voice matters. Your voice is powerful. And the way you present yourself can change not just the trajectory of the patient populations that you're advocating for, but how others see you. So, mastering confident communication takes lots of practice. And sometimes having the right guidance makes all of the difference. This is where executive coaching comes in. A woman in healthcare, whether you are a project manager, pharmacy executive, or leading a tech team, working with an executive coach can really help you. It can help you to identify and eliminate self sabotaging habits like over apologizing or shrinking yourself. It can help you develop a powerful presence so that your ideas land with the authority that you intend. It can help you get real time feedback and tailored strategies so that you can prepare to navigate with those really high stake meetings. And it can also strengthen your leadership influence, helping to ensure that what you say is not only heard, but it is respected. So if you're ready to own your voice, lead with confidence, and challenge the status quo without hesitation, let's connect. Drop your thoughts in the comments if this resonates with you. You can also make sure that you check out my website. It's in my YouTube banner if you want to have a free consultation. Please make sure that you hit like and subscribe if you'd like to get more leadership tips. Have a good one.